Yes, so Vortex here, and I'm back with another video, and this is another true wireless, but it's actually another decent one, which is quite good. It's a bit of a spoiler. Yes, so welcome to my review of the Soundpeats Capsule3 Pro. This is another one of their recent releases that has LDAC, and I also have the Opera 05 model, which is not out yet. That's for a future review. And yet, as usual, full disclaimers, I'd like to thank Soundpeats themselves for sending me this to try out, so thank you very much. I was not paid to do this video, and all thoughts and opinions are my own, as per usual, and yeah, let's just get into it. So it has the normal kind of packaging. It's got some award, which is the future, 2023. So specs, Bluetooth 5.2, frequency range 20 to 40 kHz. So battery life says 8 hours. You will get, that's on perfect conditions on I think SBC with no modes on. You realistically get about 6-ish, and obviously 52 from the case. This is what they look like. Again, LDAC, so it's SBC, AAC, LDAC. And obviously more information there. 12mm bio-coated dynamic. Again, it works fine. Hybrid, so it's got transparency mode, ambient mode you want to call it, and active noise cancellation. And yeah, so let's have a look. Obviously, as a spoiler, I've been using these, so I know what these are like. This because there's an app. Again, you have to sign into the app. You can't just free use it, so I have not used the app. These blue things, it says remove me. These cover the battery the terminals, so just make sure you take them off. Obviously hard to miss, but I've left them on there, so they do cover the terminals. Comes in this sleeve, kind of copper kind of look. It can be a bit showy off, but there's the LED. Open so you can see there. Type C for charging. Then the bottom. And there, which is harder to see, is a reset one, or to pair. If you pair to more than one device, that's how to pair to something else. Let's get these bad boys out. So it's a bit much. That's one thing I don't like, is this kind of big copper strip. But the comfort on these is fine. As a device, they work fine. There's no LED indicators on it as far as I could see. So there's a connection down the bottom to charge. And that's it. Take this. They've even done, so the inner part matches kind of like the copper. Just quickly take this off, and that's what it looks like. So it's oval shaped. So yeah, obviously the button there is in here. Multifunction button is where the S is. So it's quite straightforward. User guide I'll go over in the next clip. It's always worth going over because some of it's really important. Sometimes people miss stuff. So tips, you've obviously just seen the ones on there. So they come with small and large. Mediums are already fitted, and a charge cable which is quite short, as you can see. It's USB-A to Type-C. So in the next clip I'm going to show you the guide. Again, it's super useful, and microphone test, which I've already done. Yeah, and then on to the full review. So I always seem to go over the guides. You can always skip this if you want, but it's always useful, and also shows the commands, like the controls. So obviously the Capsule3 Pro. Soundpeats makes a lot of gear, so obviously 7 languages. The first use, you can pause that if you want to have a look. A lot of it, as you say, it's really straightforward. To reset. Controls, that's the harder way to read it, in my opinion, how they fit. The controls here, which is the much better way of doing it, so you can tell here the bottom. So long press the left button for 1.5 seconds. So by default it's off, which I prefer, then noise reduction, and then transparency, and then back to normal. Enter and exit game mode. So it has got the game mode, voice assistant, manually pairing. There is volume up and down. Again, there's no previous track. You've got play next, but because it's got this modes, there's no previous track button. The same issue on the Mini Pro S, which I've done recently. I think they ran out of controls, basically. That's what it looks like. And that's pretty much it. And it should be into German. Yeah, so in the next clip is a microphone test, which I've already done. So you'll see after this, and then to my full review. This is a quick microphone test of the Soundpeats Capsule3 Pro. I've used them in stereo, and I've paired them to my PC, which is running Windows 10. And this is just what it sounds like, just a normal speaking volume. Obviously, I'm using them together in stereo. And that's pretty much it. So this is just my microphone test. Yes, so welcome to my review section of the Soundpeats Capsule3 Pro. They make a lot of names, so there's a lot of models, so it's quite confusing. But anyway, so this is what it looks like. Get them out. They are on a little bit of on the thicker side, you know, around this section. But I had no issues with that. I found them quite secure. So let's just get on to controls while I'm at it. They do work fine. It seems when you have to use the MFB button, which is where the S is, it's not that responsive compared to some. I prefer that because it's harder to mispress something if you just press it by accident. So it's not too bad at all. But I found it's fine. Obviously, as a negative, there's no previous track button. That seems to be the thing with their new releases. I think they run out of controls, so they just have to basically forfeit it. But it is what it is. Apart from that, it works fine. So the actual comfort and fit is fine. I prefer the fit of this more than the Mini Pro HS. I found these more comfortable, and they do have a better mic, which you heard before. But yeah, not too bad at all. And yeah, so mic. I thought the microphone was very good, and I think it was actually better than the Mini Pro HS. And it seems to be, from all the ones I've tried, these kind of models with the stem typically have a better mic. I don't know why. Maybe it's a little bit closer to your mouth. But I thought the call quality on these was actually very good. So I was actually quite happy with it. So connectivity, again, even with LDAC, was perfect. With my phone, which is a Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 Pro, very good. Even I tried these with my PC, flawless connection. So I was very, very happy with that. So not much to say at all, really. So far, so good. And battery life, they say 8 hours with the units, 52 total. Now, if you use it with LDAC, with one of the modes, you will get under 6. You maybe get more than 5, which is more than the Mini Pro HS. Just depends how you use these, but you're probably looking basically close to 6. Obviously, volume depends as well, so you have to bear that in mind. So modes, because it comes with game mode, which works nearly good enough. Again, if you're playing like a first-person shooter or something like that on your phone, you can never get 0 latency or like 1 millisecond. It's close, but for competitive use, I don't think it's good enough, really. But yeah, and so the ambient mode and the transparency modes, they work fine. I've heard better, I've heard worse. For what you're paying, I'm sure these are at the $60 mark. They work fine with that, and you don't have to use the app. They just come with everything complete, as you say. They work fine. I think these are consumer tuned kind of. I say these are on Amazon, AliExpress, the website. I think whoever buys these will be happy with the performance. These aren't like the Sennheisers I did earlier this week when I did this video, but they are much more expensive. Same for like the Sony XM4s, the WF1000 XM4s. They are better, but they cost a lot more than these, so you have to bear that in mind. So I'm trying to what have I missed? There's an app. I didn't try it, like I said earlier in the video. You have to sign up. Don't like that, really. You shouldn't have to do that. I already told them to remove that kind of functionality so you can just use them, really. And so let's get on to sound, I guess, because I think I've covered quite a bit. Overlay the graph now. And yeah, tuned a little bit different to the Mini Pro HS. Now, bass, as you can see, it is elevated. It's got nearly perfect bleed into the mid-range, nearly. But yeah, as you can see, they are quite punchy. They have more than enough low end. It's a bit different to the Mini Pro HS. That technically bleeds less, I think, from memory. You can always check Squig Link and compare them. But yeah, this low end on this is fine, really. It's elevated probably a little bit more than enough, but they are on the bassy side, but I don't mind that. They seem fine. They're not crazy, like crazy. They haven't got crazy low end, and the bleed is minimal, and like the bloat, they don't really have that. So yeah, I'm quite fine. They do what they're supposed to. Sub bass doesn't keep going up, but it's still more than enough, to be honest. But yeah, I was quite happy with it. Now mid range, bit different from what I was expecting. You can see it gradually rises, so it's got, I'd say, some of it's forward, some of it sounds, I wouldn't say that odd. It's different mid range tuning. Because you either normally get like big V shapes, but this is an elevated V. It keeps going up and up and up. I found them very kind of clear. Obviously it's coloured, as you can tell from the graph, but it seems, again, I was quite happy with it. It's such a gradual rise to the treble. They do sound fairly smooth. I'd prefer if the gain was less up to the treble, but I found everything was more than enough, more than quite clear. I was quite happy with it. With all the genres I tried, which is typically more electronic, it hits like a beast. And yeah, lower mid-range can sound a touch thin, so it doesn't have the bleed like I normally like. But apart from that, it's fine. It's a bit different. You have to see if you do like that and if you understand frequency response graphs, but I was fine with it. So treble is, as you can see, there's enough of it. I'm quite glad it doesn't. It's quite consistent, and then but it drops off a bit too much. Like I see, like after the 8K, it just falls off. I was hoping it wouldn't gone off so much. So basically, these don't have the air, as people call it, so they don't sound as spacious as you'd probably want. Maybe you can try some EQ to fix that, but it does roll off quite a bit, and it obviously is more than enough treble response. Now I looked at it, I thought it looks fatiguing, but they're not. Also no sibilance either. The treble on these is actually not too bad at all. I was expecting for it to like maybe roll off quite safe, but they don't do that. But yeah, instrument separation as well is quite good. Everything's clear. Everything's got good attack to it, shall we say. In the mix, everything's quite clear. It's just, it can be, some folks may find it forward. I was actually okay with it, to be honest. And also, I didn't want it to roll off as much, but yeah, on the whole, it's fine, really. So, conclusion, do I recommend these? Yes, I prefer this over the Mini Pro HS. I think this, to me, I think I like the tuning of this one better, and the microphone is better, and I think the battery life of the case is better. Again, I didn't have to use the app, so I was quite happy with it. They need to fix the app. This needed a bit, probably more air, shall we say. And yeah, apart from that, they work fine. Microphone's good. The button usage is good. Obviously, there's no previous track, which is a bit of a shame. But yeah, on the whole, they seem to work fine. I don't think I've missed anything. I think I've got it all. Tonality, I could just throw that in. It sounds pretty good. The DD that they've used seems quite competent. And again, I've also got the Opera 05, which is out in January. So, future video. I haven't tried it yet. But yeah, on the whole, these are not too bad at all. So, yeah. Soundpeats do tend to make quite good gear these days. But anyway, if you know anything particular, let me know in the comments, as per usual. Thanks for watching, and depends on when you watch this, but Merry Christmas, and yeah, I'll see you in the next video.